What if your home isn't actually too small? What if the real problem is that we've been storing things like it's still 1997? Think about it. You open a cabinet, and something immediately falls out. You open a drawer, and suddenly you're digging through 5 layers of "I know it's in here somewhere." And that tiny space beside the refrigerator, it has been sitting there for years, completely unemployed. Meanwhile, many Japanese homes have mastered something fascinating, making limited space feel surprisingly calm, functional, and organized. And no, they haven't discovered a secret room behind the kitchen wall. The secret is smarter organization. Instead of constantly trying to find more space, Japanese-inspired organization focuses on using the space you already have, especially vertical space, hidden corners, narrow gaps, and awkward areas that most of us completely ignore. Today, we're exploring 12 clever Japanese home organization ideas that can instantly make your home feel more spacious and easier to manage. We'll look at vertical folding, drawer dividers, slim storage, freezer organization, pull-out trays, magnetic storage, and some surprisingly clever ways to turn forgotten spaces into useful ones. And stay until number 12, because the final idea might make you look at that tiny unused gap in your home very differently. Because sometimes you don't need a bigger house, you just need your house to work smarter. 1. Vertical folding, KonMari. Let's start with something incredibly simple. How you fold your clothes. Most people fold clothes and stack them horizontally, one on top of another. It looks organized at first, until you need the shirt at the bottom. Then suddenly, your peaceful morning becomes a small construction project. You pull out one shirt, then another, and before you know it, half your wardrobe is sitting on the bed. This is where the famous KonMari-inspired vertical folding method becomes useful. Instead of creating a tall pile, fold your clothes into compact rectangles and place them upright inside the drawer, side by side. Now you can see what you have at a glance. No digging, no disturbing the entire drawer, no mysteriously disappearing socks. The real advantage isn't simply that it looks beautiful. It's that every item becomes easier to see and reach. And here's the funny part. If you have to remove 6 shirts just to reach the 7th one underneath, that's not really a drawer anymore. That's archaeological excavation. But there's one problem. Even when your clothes are standing vertically, small items like socks, underwear, belts, and accessories can still turn your drawer into a miniature natural disaster. And that's where the second idea comes in. 2. Drawer dividers. Drawer dividers create small sections inside larger drawers, giving each category its own little territory. Socks go here, underwear goes there, accessories get their own section, and those tiny household items that somehow multiply overnight, they get a designated home too. This makes it much easier to put things away because you're no longer asking, "Where does this go?" You already know. And without dividers, let's be honest, your socks eventually form their own political system. The bigger lesson is simple. Good organization isn't just about having less stuff. It's about giving the stuff you keep a logical place to live. And if your drawers are already organized, don't celebrate just yet, because we're about to use an area most people completely ignore: vertical space. 3. Tall, slim drawer cabinets. Now let's talk about one of the most underestimated spaces in any home, the narrow gap. You know that little space beside the refrigerator, between a cabinet and the wall, or beside the bathroom sink? Most of us look at it and think, well, that's too small to be useful. But that's exactly where smart vertical storage comes in. Instead of spreading storage across the floor, go upward. Tall, slim drawer cabinets can turn surprisingly narrow spaces into useful storage for things like toiletries, cleaning supplies, kitchen tools, pantry items, or other small household essentials. The beauty of this idea is simple. You're not necessarily adding more floor space. You're using height that was already there. That little space you've been ignoring. It may actually be storage, wearing an invisible cloak. And this principle is especially useful in smaller homes, where every bit of space matters. But here's something important. Don't buy a storage cabinet just because it fits a gap. Make sure it's stable, safe, and actually suits what you're storing, because the goal is organization, not creating a tiny tower of household chaos. And speaking of clever storage, let's move somewhere people often struggle to organize: the freezer. 4. Vertical freezer storage. Open your freezer. Go ahead, we'll wait. Is everything neatly arranged? Or are you staring at a frozen mountain where the item you want is probably hiding somewhere near the bottom? Vertical freezer organization can make a huge difference. Instead of piling frozen foods on top of one another, use suitable containers or file-style organizers to keep packages upright and separated. Now you can see what you have without removing half the freezer first. Frozen vegetables here, bread there, prepared meals in another section. Everything has a place, because opening a freezer and having a frozen bag of mystery fall onto your foot is not meal preparation. It's an unexpected athletic event. The bigger lesson is simple. When storage makes everything visible, you spend less time searching and less time creating another mess. And now we're heading back to the kitchen, where the next trick uses something you probably thought was meant for paperwork. 5. The file holder kitchen hack. Now here's an organization trick that proves something important. A product doesn't always have to be used for what it was originally designed for. Take a simple file holder. You might normally use it for documents, notebooks, or paperwork. But in the kitchen, that same vertical shape can become surprisingly useful. Instead of stacking cutting boards flat on top of one another, place them vertically inside a suitable holder. The same idea can work for baking trays, pot lids, chopping boards, food wraps, and other flat kitchen items that love creating chaos inside cabinets.
Struggling with stacked baking trays and cluttered cabinets? Here is a simple file holder kitchen hack. Store them vertically for effortless access.
Suddenly, instead of pulling out 5 things just to reach one baking tray, you can simply grab the one you need. Apparently, a file organizer doesn't care whether you're organizing documents or fighting with 12 baking trays. And that's the real lesson here. Look at everyday objects by their function, not just their advertised purpose. If something can safely divide, hold, separate, or organize an item, it may have a second life somewhere else in your home. Just make sure whatever you use is sturdy, food safe where necessary, and appropriate for the items you're storing. Now let's go upward, because the next idea can make your shelves practically grow another floor. 6. Shelf risers. Look inside a typical kitchen cabinet. You might see one shelf with plates or containers sitting at the bottom, while several inches of completely empty space are sitting above them. That space isn't doing anything, it's just existing. And this is where shelf risers become useful. A shelf riser creates another level inside the same cabinet, allowing you to stack items without simply creating a dangerous tower. Before, one shelf with a huge amount of wasted vertical space. After, 2 usable levels. You're not making the cabinet wider, you're simply making better use of its height. Your shelf has been paying rent for all that empty air. It's time to make it work. Of course, there's one problem with deep cabinets. Sometimes everything is organized beautifully, until the thing you need is hiding all the way in the back. So what happens when storage is neat but difficult to reach? That's where number 7 comes in. 7. Pull-out storage trays. Now, here's a problem that even a beautifully organized cabinet can have. You can't actually reach anything. Think about those deep kitchen cabinets. You carefully arrange everything inside. The front looks perfect. But the moment you need something at the back, you suddenly become a contortionist. You reach in, you stretch, you move one container, then another, and eventually, you're halfway inside the cabinet, wondering how your life reached this point. This is where pull-out storage trays can make a big difference. Instead of reaching deep into the cabinet, the tray slides toward you, bringing the contents with it. They're particularly useful for deep kitchen cabinets, bathroom cabinets, and pantry areas where items tend to disappear behind one another. And here's the important principle: don't organize only for storage, organize for access. Because if you need to get on your knees, move 3 containers, and whisper a prayer just to reach the back of the cabinet, The system needs improvement. Good organization should make everyday life easier, not turn every cupboard into an obstacle course. And now we're leaving the cabinets behind. We're going to take advantage of something your home has plenty of: vertical surfaces. 8. Magnetic spice storage. Look at your kitchen. How much space are your spice jars taking up? Maybe they're crowded inside a cabinet, hiding behind larger containers, or scattered across the countertop. But what if you stop thinking of the counter as your only option? Magnetic spice containers can turn suitable metal surfaces or magnetic storage boards into convenient vertical storage. Instead of taking up valuable shelf space, your spices can be displayed where they're easy to see and reach. It's a small change, but it demonstrates a powerful organizing principle. Unused vertical surfaces can become useful storage. Your spices don't need a mansion. They need a small apartment on the wall. Just make sure the magnetic system is designed to hold the containers securely and keep food stored appropriately. And once you start looking at walls differently, you may realize your home has far more usable space than you thought. But the next trick isn't about your kitchen walls. It's about your wardrobe. 9. Multi-layer hangers. Now let's step into the wardrobe. You look inside and think, I don't have enough space. But before you start blaming the closet, look at how much vertical space you're actually using. A normal hanger usually takes up one section of hanging space for one or two garments. But multi-layer hangers can allow several lightweight items to occupy the same vertical area. Think scarves, trousers, belts, accessories, or other suitable lightweight clothing. The idea isn't to cram as many clothes as physically possible into one closet. It's about using the empty space between the top and bottom of your wardrobe. And remember, don't overload the hanger. If it's struggling under the weight, you've defeated the entire purpose. Because sometimes the wardrobe isn't full. The hangers are just being dramatic. But here's where organization becomes more than simply saving space. You also want your wardrobe to be easy to understand. Group similar items together. Keep accessories together. Keep trousers together. Keep frequently used pieces where they're easiest to reach. Because an organized space shouldn't just hold more things. It should make finding things easier. And if your closet still looks chaotic, the problem might not be how much you own. It might be how you group it. 10. Matching storage bins. Now let's move beyond the wardrobe and talk about something surprisingly powerful. Visual consistency. Imagine opening a cabinet and seeing 10 completely different containers. One is an old food container. Another is a cardboard box. Another is a plastic basket from 5 years ago. And somehow, one container is still proudly advertising the cookies that used to live inside it. Nothing is technically wrong with these containers, but visually, everything feels busy. Matching storage bins can change that. When containers have similar shapes and sizes, they're easier to stack, categorize, and arrange. More importantly, they create a consistent visual rhythm. Instead of your storage looking like a collection of random objects, it starts looking intentional. And there's a psychological benefit too. When everything has a visual home, the room can feel cleaner even before you actually clean it. You don't need every container to look like it survived a different decade. Choose containers that fit your space, stack safely, and make sense for what you're storing. But matching containers are only half the secret. There's another tiny detail that can make finding everything dramatically easier. 11. Clear plus labeled containers. Now we've reached one of the simplest ideas on this entire list, but don't underestimate it. Clear containers with simple labels. Why clear? Because visibility saves time. If you can immediately see what's inside a container, you don't have to open it. Search through it, close it, and then open the next one. You can use clear containers for snacks, grains, toiletries, cleaning supplies, craft materials, or other items that benefit from being easy to identify. And here's the important part. Keep the labels simple. You don't need to write a paragraph on a storage box. The goal is to glance at it and immediately know what's inside. Because I know it's somewhere in here is not an organization system. It's a treasure hunt nobody asked for. When your storage is visible and clearly categorized, putting things away becomes easier too. You know where something belongs, and you know where to find it later. But now we're reaching the final idea, and this one might make you look at some of the smallest spaces in your home completely differently. 12. Slim rolling storage cart. Look around your home. Find a narrow gap. Maybe it's between your refrigerator and the wall, perhaps beside the washing machine, under a counter, between a cabinet and another appliance. For years, that little gap may have been doing absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, you're complaining that you don't have enough storage. That gap has been living rent-free. This is where a slim rolling storage cart can be surprisingly useful. A narrow cart can slide into those forgotten spaces and provide several levels of storage while still being easy to pull out when needed. The principle is bigger than the cart itself. Don't overlook awkward spaces. Sometimes, the storage you need isn't hiding in another room. It's hiding in the few inches you stop noticing. And that brings us to the real secret behind all 12 ideas. A well-organized home isn't necessarily a home with more space. It's a home where the existing space is used intentionally. The bigger lesson. After all 12 ideas, there's a bigger lesson hiding underneath them. Japanese-inspired organization isn't simply about buying more storage products. It's about seeing space differently. First, think vertically. When floor space is limited, look up. Walls, cabinet height, narrow gaps, and unused vertical areas can all become opportunities when they're used safely and intentionally. Second, make everything accessible. A cabinet might technically hold 20 things, but if reaching the item at the back requires moving 15 others and performing a small yoga routine, the organization isn't working. Good storage should make your daily life easier. And third, give everything a home. When your clothes, spices, toiletries, and household items have designated places, putting things away becomes much easier and clutter has fewer opportunities to take over. So maybe the secret isn't having a bigger home. Maybe it's learning to see the space you already have differently. You don't always need another room. Sometimes you need a better system. Now I'm curious about you. Which idea would you actually use in your home? Vertical folding, shelf risers, magnetic storage, or that slim rolling cart? And be honest, which space in your home is currently doing absolutely nothing? Tell me in the comments, because somewhere in your house, there's probably a tiny piece of unused space reading this and thinking, finally, my moment has arrived.